Welcome back to another episode of the Living Proof podcast. My name is Shelby. I'm your host. Today we're recording this episode to share with our YouTube channel as well too. Last week we did it live on Instagram and then uploaded the podcast from our live Instagram episode. So I was like, let's record this live for YouTube today and have fun with that. So I'm so happy to be here with all of you, and I have a conversation I want to bring forth. And I already shared a teeny bit of this on my Instagram earlier today. But this conversation, I do not believe is happening enough or immediately or more powerfully or just isn't like maybe there's some taboo around it. There's a lot of fear. There's just different things. So we're going to crack open this conversation. And it'll be one of many conversations around this topic because I do have a lot that I can share on this topic. But also I've already launched and we're about to start our program called Year One and Beyond of Eye Loss. And, I've ran this program in the past, all different ways. It's a lot of the work that I do with my one-on-one clients. And just recently, I was like, I want to run this program again live. I want to kill it like I know I will. I want it to be like a masterpiece. There's like a workbook, there's all these different modules. It's really, really in depth for people in that first initial like year one space of eye loss, transitioning to beyond because if you've been following me, if you know my world, if you know my work, I am so much in the personal power, leadership, identity, growth, personal development, I think, and I want, my dream is every person that has an eye injury or a life-altering injury or experience, they come out on the other side stronger, more powerful, more convicted, more like themselves than ever before. Like nothing can stop them. They're unshakable. My biggest dream is that all of these people as well, you go and make the biggest impact, that you go share your story, that you get involved with a community, that you like do things that light your soul on fire, that you change the world, that you like make wealth from your story as well too. You monetize your story, you build a movement, you build products and services and so on and so forth. And so to backtrack though, these like fundamental like stages, the beginning stages, year one, like the recovery is, identity work, is personal power work, is confidence to share your story, to release shame, to do the healing mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And all of that is so important. But there was like a huge piece that I realized that I had not been bringing forth, and it has come up over the years, and I have maybe been afraid to talk about it, or to teach on it, or to really bring it to light, and then I could maybe do a different episode on that. But I realized just recently, like, in order for someone to completely heal, for you to heal, like I was just describing, even more powerfully convicted, confident, like heart on fire, like after something like this, which is not an easy feat. If you have lost an eye or you have had a life-altering injury, your first reaction as a human, as most humans, is not to say, I'm gonna come out on the other strong, like side so much stronger. Yeah, like we as humans, we're already capable of that. I believe we're already resilient as fuck. We're already born with this level of resilience. Like what our bodies can do, what our minds can do, are just like beyond like imaginable. And we play at half capacity all the time, or less than half capacity all of the time. But to really, really step into that person, that leader in your life, to overcome something like this and to build something and to like be that bigger version of yourself. It isn't an easy feat. It takes so much courage and bravery, and it'd be so much easier to shrink or submit or to hide or any of the things. And like sometimes that happens and that's okay too. There's no shame, but to pull yourself out and into a bigger realm of your identity, your life, what is possible for you. That is why I'm here, to do that, to lift others up, to transmute this work, to take adversity and turn it into power and purpose and all of the beyond. So, big long intro to like the actual topic here because I realized, like I was saying this week, that a huge piece that is not talked about that actually is a huge piece in all of this is money. Money and eye loss, money and life-altering injuries, money and medical. So, are you ready to have one of many money conversations? This is the piece that I realized that I was missing from my leadership and sharing and showing up and my next evolution and Adhesive's evolution and where we're going and how we can help more and more people on a deeper and deeper level. But I also realized it was a huge piece that was missing from for my clients, for the work that I was doing because there was so much like uncertainty, fear, scarcity, lack around money in the medical side of things that it was slowing down their healing, that they weren't stepping into their most powerful self. Like we could do all the other work, the identity work, the storytelling work. I could get them involved in a community. I could teach them how to share their story. I could have them share their story on social media. I could do all of those things that are very important. But if there was an underlining fear of money, and money is a big thing, we know this as humans across the board. If money, the money mindset, the money frequency, the money identity, the practical side of money when it comes to medical, and the money in your nervous system isn't regulated, you're in fight or flight, which then means that you're not healing. If you're laying in that bed, the beginning stages of an eye injury and you are worried and in scarcity and lack and fear, even though you have the money, but there is so much uncertainty on the other side with the money and you're in that fight or flight, your body physically can't heal. Your brain cannot heal. Your eye cannot heal. Whatever you're going through and adjusting, if you're in a fight or flight response because of money, which happens to so many Americans, so many people around the world, doesn't matter where in the world, money is a huge point of fight or flight. Resistance, fear, scarcity, lack, and these frequencies do stuff to you on a cellular level that you don't even know sometimes. Like, yeah, it could be a top of mind, it could be a worry, but you don't really realize how it's slowing down your healing process, how it's keeping your levels high, which then keeps your body like over time working. And we know that when things are overworking, they don't heal. And so I'm not a medical doctor and I can't use all the terminology, but just from the most practical, logical, we'll say. And as a human, we know that cortisol, that fight or flight, that heightened state of awareness all of the time or fear, stress, worry does damage when you're not recovering from an eye injury, when you're not recovering from a life-altering injury. So imagine what it does when you're in that recovery mode. So I really want to talk about this today and more because I think this is like that one piece. If we can crack this, if more people can have access to this work around money in these initial stages and beyond, because this is always work you'll continue to do. And this is work that it's not like, oh, I missed it. I can't do it now. You could do it right now and change the rest of your life. And so being able to do this work and provide this work for more and more people around money and money mindset and the logistics when it comes to money and medical, we can change the freaking world. This will change the world and how we view money and how we take care of ourselves and the power you'll have around money, the confidence, the conviction, like, because I also was just thinking right before I jumped on this episode, I was thinking, we're not going to get too much into this, but you know, like how they don't teach us any of this in school, like just around money and budgeting and taxes and like money. Like that's just not something that's like talked about or educated, but the more education you have around money, the more power you have around money and your money mindset, like your investments, the way you look at money, the power you have around money, like is everything. It's how you change your life. It's what gives you freedom. It's what gives you more options. It's what gives you peace of mind. And so as we start to introduce this conversation into this space more and more, I first just like want to break down, there's two parts to money, or there's more than that probably, but the two parts I'm going to share today when we're really talking about this is like that practical side of money. And we know that this is the numbers, the actual numbers. What is in the bank account? What are the bills actually going to cost? What are the medical bills going to cost? What is insurance covering? What is insurance not covering? The practical, like the money going out, the money coming in, what like resources you have to make more money, what budgeting are you doing? Where do you need to maybe cut back in some areas? Where can you make more money? Where can you play in making more money? There's infinite amount of possibilities to make more money. And so but this practical side of really looking at the numbers and not being afraid to look at the numbers, checking your bank account, looking at like I call these money dates, or I heard that somewhere on a different podcast or internet something content, but these money dates every single day, or you could do it every week, depending on your vibe, how many, accounts you have and what that all looks like in your life. But you take yourself on a money date where you look at all of your transactions. You look at the money going out. You look at the money coming in. You take these money dates. You get in your power around your numbers, around your money. They teach this to entrepreneurs, but they don't teach this to just people recovering from an eye injury. But getting really comfortable with the money, the bills, the normalcy around money going out, money coming in, that flow, that frequency, the overflow, the way money circulates. And we start to find this level of like gratitude for money going out and money coming in. We celebrate it equally because when you celebrate it equally, again, it's not holding more power for the money going out and the money coming in. They hold the same power. And we start to recognize the gratitude. Okay, every dollar coming in and every dollar going out is like providing something in our life. We're getting a new fun eye. We're getting a new pair of glasses. We have a medical bill we have to cover, but what's the thing to be grateful for? It's this mindset, this perspective shift around money and the money that you're spending on medical bills. Even though half the time it's like that's the last thing we probably want to be spending our money on. But at the same time, I'm pretty dang grateful that I have that option to spend the money on the medical. That like I'm getting the care, that I was able to have my eye removed and I didn't have to live with the blind, painful, damaged eye, that I had access to eye drops. I had access to pain medication, so we could go a whole rabbit hole down this, but I just first want you to start to really recognize the practical side, the numbers, the budgeting. Take your power back when you're looking at the numbers, anchor into gratitude, into celebration for money going out, money coming in. Like if you are doing this day one in the hospital, like I promise you're going to have a better experience. You're going to heal better. You're going to I'll talk about the next part. It's gonna go a lot better for you. You'll have more power over your decisions, over your money, over what to do next, over actions, and maybe, just maybe as well too, this is huge. You will realize you have more money than you thought, and you can take more time off, which then that will allow you to heal so much more. If you were able to rest and recover, I see so many people jumping back into work, and I'm not saying that that's wrong or you can't do that, but if you had that cushion and you realize like, oh, this conversation's so powerful. If you realize that you could take more time off of work and heal and rest and recover, like that will change your entire life on so many freaking levels because you will not just get that rest and that time, but when I was resting and recovering, something happened inside of my mind that got me here. And I believe that's accessible for everybody when they slow down enough, when they ask themselves powerful questions, when they have time to breathe, time to set aside and ask themselves what they actually want. So the longer I healed and rested and recovered and laid in bed and was able to take a little extra time off of work or jumping back into work, I got this aha moment that has changed the entire trajectory of my life. That aha moment was like, these eye patches suck. You should go make a new eye patch. And everything else catapulted from there with iHesive and the community. And we're about to have our fourth annual iConnect virtual conference on December 6th. Mark your calendar. Tickets are dropping so soon. And so there was, anyways, so you might realize that like you don't need to rush back because we often like, I gotta get back to work, I gotta make money, this and this and this. But if you are looking at the numbers, you may actually realize that you can rest a little longer. You don't have to jump right back, and you're going to get back to normal life. If there's a time or a space or a reality for you that you create, we could create our own realities. So if there's a reality that you create that you get to not live normal, quote unquote, like take that option. Allow yourself to do that. So this practical side and really knowing the numbers and looking at it and having powerful conversations with your friends, your family, your loved ones, your doctors, your financial advisors, your accountant, your a manager, whoever will listen to you to really discuss these conversations. Bring these things like the less we hide from them and we share them, the less shame they have, the more like support and answers. This is how like manifestation and things work as well too. We talk about things, we acknowledge them, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, here's a new option, or here's something I didn't consider, or someone's willing to help this way. Or maybe someone starts a GoFundMe for you. Maybe someone does some crowdfunding for you, or you go crowdfund and you make some extra money. And so really being able to have these powerful conversations on where you are at, what it's going to require for you to meet the numbers practically and logistically, and like setting yourself up past that because so often we get stuck. Again, this could be a really long conversation, and I'm so excited about this conversation today. But often we get stuck of like, okay, how can I just make it through this? And it's like there could be a reality as well that you create where you realize that there are, even more possibilities. Like that's what I want for everybody too. There's infinite possibilities, and I want you to know that. And so when you anchor into that, things do really shift on what's available for you, what's accessible for you, what you're able to create, what you're able to provide, what you're able to receive. And so allowing yourself to look at this practical side, the numbers, what's available now, what are options that maybe you hadn't thought of, like think outside of the box when it comes to this. And we're going to get into this in a little bit as well too. And then the second piece of this part is this energetics, the frequency, the mindset, the nervous system. Like, can you take a deep breath and exhale. And you drop your shoulders. I know I talk fast. I always have a lot of energy and then bouncing around. So I'm working on slowing all of that down. But what I want to share is like, again, if you're in fear and scarcity and lack and your nervous system's panicked, it's like not going to be a fun time for you. First off. Second off, it's going to slow down your healing. Third off, like this is what is actually in your control. The numbers aren't always in our control. We can't control a bill that comes through always. I mean, we could maybe fight with insurance or, something like that. But there's, when it comes to this practical, when it's money in, money out numbers, there's a little less control. We can always go make money, we can advocate in different ways. There's still parts that are of control there, but it's less, it's kind of sometimes more matter of fact. This is the bill, I owe this much. This other side, the frequency is 100% in your control. It is your mindset. It's your mind and your body working together. And I get nervous system, and especially when we're talking money, goes way back into, childhood and just nervous system in general is, things that happened in childhood and then it imprints into our body and then later. That's why we can't always like you'll be nervous or anxious and I'll be like, I don't even know why. It's like it's triggering something or activating something inside of you from childhood potentially. And again, I'm not a doctor, but I read a lot of self-help books and listened to a lot of different informational podcasts and such. And so just to give you a very brief overview, it's like, the nervous system work can be a lot more when we're really looking at it and like going back into childhood. But I do want you to realize that there are decisions that you can make to check in with your frequency every day, your energetics, to slow down, to breathe, to drop your shoulders, to remind yourself that it is okay to let go, to have faith and to really be unavailable like for anything that pulls you out. And that does not mean it's gonna be perfect all the time and you're never gonna not worry about money. But when you do, you get back into your power, you remind yourself where you're at. You can look at the numbers, you can pray if you need, you can go take some action if you need, you can you know, sell something. Like I'm like, can you go sell things that you don't need? Maybe you need to downsize. Maybe there are some sacrificing. Maybe there are some budgeting things that need to be done. Can you go invent something and turn around and sell it and then become a billionaire, and like all the debts paid in one click of a button. And so this is like, that work, it's continuous, it's day in and day out. This isn't one podcast episode of me ranting and raving, or maybe you're listening on YouTube. Hi. This is everyday work and it's just incremental. Like, so starting to really check in with your frequency and mindset around money and having conversations. So this is what I was doing at the very beginning of my healing. I was like in bed, I was having these conversations with my friends and my family about what was coming up around money and around, if there was scarcity or lack or what are we going to do? And just having that support and that help always, transmutes and releases that shame and that heaviness. And so having those conversations, really looking at the money, at that point, we were coming off the back end of COVID. I hadn't been working. I had no money. Like I couldn't have been, I was living in a sober living home. If you know anything about my story, yeah, I was 10 months sober. I was literally living in a house with 10 other adults. And it was not like a peak moment in my life that this happened. And it really, really, really set me back. And it really, really like felt maybe cruel that it would happen like at that time because it was one thing after another. But I also had this level of like certainty and knowing that like everything was going to be okay and that I had power over my nervous system, my frequency, my energetics. That's really when I started to tap more into this personal development work and more into these questions of who I want to be moving forward. What is it that I want to do with this? How can I, you know, like it really gave me the space to rest, to go inward, to ask myself these questions, which then inevitably changed the entire trajectory of my life. And so allowing yourself to to look at these things without shame. That's why I was journaling. Like, how am I feeling? What is coming up for me? Where do I feel scarcity? Where do I feel lack? Why is money such a like tenuous part? Like it makes sense. And then also our nervous system is trying to keep us safe. So I could look and be like, this makes sense. Obviously, I'm gonna feel this way. I'm coming off the back end of COVID. I'm not working. I was setting things up for a big, bright future, and now this. So it's like I had a lot more compassion, and compassion heals everything. Love heals everything. And so if you can have compassion and love for yourself, for your situation, for your money, for your finances, that heals everything. And it's this work every single day and being unavailable for anything less than compassion and love for yourself in every area of your life. So it's between these, the practical side of the money, the numbers, the not being afraid to really look at that, this energetics, the frequency, your money mindset, your nervous system. And then there's three questions I want you to ask yourself if you are in year one, you had an eye injury. I really want you to ask yourself, one, if you are unable to go back to work or to do the same work, what is it? Or you choose not to go back to work or you want to do something different. What are all the ways I can make new money? Like what if this is the beginning of the rest of your life? Like, how does that feel? It's the beginning of the rest of your life. You could do anything you desire. What is it that you would make money doing? Question two, if you are unable to pay for your current medical bills or lifestyle in this present moment, what are all of the ways that you could make money now? Selling things, starting a GoFundMe, like getting outside of the box. I said this earlier because we get so constrained and constricted to like society and the norms and the 9 to 5 and my corporate job. And you can have all that and you can go back to all of that. But are there ways to stretch yourself to see the infinite possibilities of things around you and to be able to ease your nervous system if you're like, oh, there are ways for me to make money, or like if I need to, even might not even be something that you have to do to cover it, but it's like that peace of mind to know that there are ways to make money. So there's been times in my business where I well, it's been a lower month or, a lower week or whatever, and I've had a little spiral, and I'm like, I'm gonna go get a job again. And I'll go apply for jobs sometimes. And then I just go and make more money in my business. But that like there's something that happens there sometimes that just gives me that little bit of peace of mind. I'm like, oh yeah, there's always this job. There's always this way. Or one time I asked my boyfriend, I said, hey, like, do you want to sell your car and we can share a car? Like I wasn't actually going to get the jobs. We weren't actually going to sell his car unless we really, really had to. But having those conversations, having that peace of mind, opening up the possibilities, like, okay, if he sells his car, we share one car, like, could we make that work? Like, yeah, we definitely could if we needed to. And so it was like just always kind of an option. There's just always giving ourselves these little bit of options if we needed to. But ultimately, we just go and do what needs to be done. And this will be a conversation for another time. But again, looking at the options to make money or save money or create money in the present moment for yourself. And then three, so like kind of along those same lines, but it's like, what are all of my options? I said this earlier, options equals freedom. Options equals peace of mind. Options equal power. And I believe money equals options. And so, what are all of your options right now? List them all out, get creative, have fun. Maybe it's just like this playful exercise that you could do now, and you can do this anytime in your life. Again, if I truly believe, because it's happened to me, it's happened to my clients, when you unlock this little lever in people, especially in a moment or in a time when things feel so uncertain and scary and fearful, and we normally one track mind and our nervous system's on overdrive, and we just want to be safe and protected, and we just want to know that everything is going to be okay. If we unlock a sliver of like a new possibility, a new option, a new belief, a new reality, it changes everything because it pulls you out of all of that. It opens and expands your mind. It gives you a new pathway to go down. Like it just these little levers, if we can create these level levers in people, it gives them power. And there's nothing more powerful than a power, an activated human, you know? And so, like, how do we activate this inside of you? Well, looking at your options, well, looking at the numbers, well, working on the energy, the frequency, your mindset, your nervous system. And so this is a very small piece of the puzzle when it comes to, or that I shared today at least, of money and energetics and nervous system and really identifying. So if you're in year one, what this looks like and start to get the ball rolling and asking yourself some of these powerful and potent questions. And we're, going to go deeper into this in our year one and beyond program, a micro program that we also cover, confidence, identity, energetics, the insurance kind of things, the practical questions of like losing an eye, can I drive? Can I not drive? So it covers a wide spectrum of stuff all within like that first year of eye loss and then moving into your beyond life. And the money portion, I'm like, I've added this in there. This could be an entire program all on its own, but I'm realizing how important it is. So I wanted there to be a module inside this program. If your one and beyond is something that you're in and you want to go and come inside this program, you can DM me on Instagram, year one, and I can do the link for that program. I just want to share one more thing here as well too. I'm like, I don't know if this is podcast like etiquette, but I'm like, this is my podcast, so I get to do what I want to do. And I appreciate all of you. And this is our fourth episode ever, and I just know it's going to get better and bigger and more dialed in with every episode. So I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. The last thing I want to share here is this fun, like live Instagram live that I am doing this Saturday, October 18th at 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's a Shelby Sells live Instagram. We're going to be selling the adhesive eye patches, the One Eye Gang merch. There's new merch dropping that I'm so excited about. So we're going to sell it all on Instagram. There's going to be a special, it's like a whole party. It's a vibe. I cannot wait. We're going to give everybody you only have access for 1 hour on the live of like a code, a promo code where you get 20% off of everything on the iHesive website. I'll be talking more about the program year one and beyond since we start on Monday, the 18th. But it's a Shelby Sells Live, and I'm going live on Instagram, and I'm so excited about this party. It's a whole event, and like I said, we have special drops, and we have limited supplies of these special drops, like 12. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but it's all One Eye Gang merch, brand new merch. And if you attend live, you will get a voucher promo code that you can only use on the live, like in that hour. So, gotta show up live to get the voucher code. And yeah, it's gonna be a great time. If this conversation like interests you, you want to have more, if you have specific questions when it comes to money, when it comes to money around eye loss, money around life-altering injuries, you want to go deeper, you were kind of confused about maybe something that I shared on here, DM me again on Instagram. Ask your questions if you want to bring something else forward. I'm more than happy to. I know I talk really fast and was all over the place a little bit. We'll get better at this all together, I promise. But I'm here to just bring anything that I know about eye loss, money, life-altering injuries, creating a brand, being that living proof, walking other people through the things that I've walked through, and us doing it together. This is a movement. That's why I want your input, anything that you have questions on, and we're rising together. And I cannot wait to bring on different hosts on this podcast as well, too. All right, thanks for listening, Living Proof Podcast. I'm so happy that you are here, and I will see you on the next one.